7th graders. I'm going to do a quick review with you about how we solve one-step equations in Chapter 3. So this would be lessons 3.3 and 3.4 in our Big Ideas math book. And the things we really want to remember when we're solving one-step equations is that our end goal is to get the variable or the letter all by itself. In algebra, we call that isolating the variable. We do that using inverse operations. Inverse operations are sort of like opposites. They undo each other. So that means I would solve an addition equation with subtraction, a subtraction equation with addition. I would solve a multiplication equation using division, and I would solve a division equation using multiplication. That will be true in lesson 3.5 as well, which we're starting this week, and that's on solving 2 and 3 step equations. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. In number 1, I'm going to ask myself sort of the same set of algebra questions every time. I'm going to start by saying, what's the variable? The variable is x. What are they doing to x in the equation? They are adding 7.5. That tells me that to undo adding 7.5, I'll subtract 7.5. When I do that, I'm going to use the golden rule of algebra. Whatever you do on one side of the equal sign, you have to do the same thing to the other side. Some of you like to draw a line down through your equal sign so that you can see the two sides. Some of you don't like to do that. That's up to you. You need a strategy that works for you. So since they're adding 7.5, I'm going to subtract 7.5 on both sides of the equal sign. When I do that, if I've done it correctly, I should be able to cancel out the number next to the variable. So plus 7.5 minus 7.5 equals 0. I can cross it out because they canceled each other. They're gone now. I still have x, I still have equals, and now I'm going to do this calculation on the right-hand side of the equal sign to get my solution. I can use a calculator now, or I can use what I know about negative 10.5 minus 7.5, and that is that it's going to equal negative 18. The awesome thing about equations is that they're self-checking. I can take negative 18 and check my answer by putting it back in for x, since that's what x equals. That's called substituting it back into your equation. And I can check to see, is that really negative 10.5? And it is. So I checked it, my solution's correct, I can move on to the next one. I'm gonna go to problem number 2. Same set of algebra equations. What's my variable? Y. What are they doing to y? They're subtracting 4.5. I'm going to undo that using the inverse operation of subtraction, which is addition. Whatever number they were subtracting, I'm going to add. And remember, whatever you do to one side, you have to come across and do to the other side of the equal sign. I'm not going to draw a line on this one just to show you the difference. You may if you'd like to. Negative 4.5 or minus 4.5 plus 4.5 is gone. I'm left with y equals negative 5.5 plus 4.5 is negative 1. So y equals negative 1. I'm going to check that. If y is negative 1, I should be able to put a negative 1 right there, and this would be true. It is. Negative 1 minus 4.5 is negative 5.5. I know I've solved it correctly. And remember, you can use the fraction button or the decimal button on your calculator to help you with these. Moving on to a multiplication equation. Multiplication is hidden here. This equation says negative 8 times x equals 56. I need to solve for x. My end goal is to get x by itself, which means I have to undo this negative 8. Don't be fooled into thinking this says subtraction. It doesn't. Negative 8 and x are being multiplied together. The opposite of multiplying by negative 8 is dividing by negative 8. I'm going to show division using a bar. It's the easiest way for me to condense my work. You may use an old-fashioned division sign if you'd like. Negative 8 divided by negative 8 leaves me with 1x. That's what I want in multiplication and division. 56 divided by negative 8 is negative 7. I can self-check my answer. If I'm right, then negative 8 times negative 7 should equal positive 56. And it does. We're right again. Let's move on to number 4, last one in this set. X divided by 3, because yes, a fraction bar means division. X divided by 3 equals negative 13. Again, if you like to draw a line down through the equal sign, you may. The opposite of dividing by 3 is multiplying by 3. I'm going to multiply both sides of my equation by 3. 3 over 3 makes 1. I'm left with 1x, which is just what I want to be left with. And negative 13 times 3 is negative 39. My strategies there are using my math facts, my multiplication chart, writing it out on paper, or using my calculator. Now I can self-check my answer and see if negative 39 divided by 3 really is negative 13. It is. I solved it correctly. So when you're solving equations, you're getting the variable all by itself. You're using inverse operations, and you're checking your solution every time. If you have any questions, I should see you in TCB this week. And you can rewatch this video as many times as you need, and maybe even make up a set of your own equations. Good luck.